Welcome to another gathering of the Gold Key Adventurers Society. Have a seat by the fire as we prepare to help you unlock the secrets of the travel life. From theme park thrills to Purple Mountain's majesty, we want to see it all and do it all, and we want to help you do the same. We all have those bucket list trips, once-in-a-lifetime destinations that we'll get to someday. We're here to help you make your travel dreams a reality. Buy the ticket, take the trip. Where do you want to go?
Come on, come on, come on, now tell me what's on your bucket list. Okay, hey, okay, hey. It's a beautiful day. Okay, hey, okay, hey. It's a beautiful day.
Hey McFly! We're going old school with some of our favorite extinct EPCOT attractions. But first, the week's travel news. Oh, and details on how you could win a trip to Walt Disney World. Fire up your flux capacitor and be careful not to become your own grandpa. It's time to hit the trail with the Gold Key Adventurers Society. You're gathered in an empty mall parking lot after midnight. Suddenly, a halo of blue electric light illuminates the sky, accompanied by the sound of space and time apparently being torn apart. A sensible blue minivan appears suddenly out of nowhere and screeches to a stop beside you. The window rolls down and I stick my head out. Look guys, it's no DeLorean, but I needed something big enough to bring everyone with me. I just came back from EPCOT in 1990, and great Scott, was it amazing. Jump in!
But there's no roads.
Just where we're going, we don't need roads.
Are there going to be bathroom breaks along the way?
There's a mason jar in the back there. You can use that, Dan.
Great, we're going Skyliner. Okay, that's
Oh, too soon.
We're going to designate a poo corner.
Oh, we made it all in 15 seconds.
I'll still ride it.
All right, guys, I decided to spring this one on you without any warning. Before we get to the news, it's very important that everybody shares their favorite song from an EPCOT show or attraction. And I'm going to need your answer in the form of a brief musical performance. Whether that's humming, whistling, rapping, singing. I'll go first to give you guys a chance to think. This one's been stuck in my head for about a week now because that's the kind of life I lead. I love the song that goes, veggie, fruit, fruit, veggie, fruit, fruit.
Kitchen Cabaret.
Fruit, veggie, fruit, fruit.
Kitchen
Veggie,
Cabaret,
fruit,
classic.
It's such a good song. Such a good song. They should not, darn you, Soren.
All right, I'm jumping in. Imagination.
She took the easy one.
I had to get there before Jess.
Now you guys are stuck.
Oh no. I've got one that it's going to stick with us all day, but let it go. Let it go.
Dave.
Something anymore. Jess.
All right. I'm going to have to go with one of the Yanni instrumentals that they've used in the past for entrance music. So I have to sing this, right? Is that what you're saying?
Hum it, whistle it, interpret it any way you can.
That's right.
I have dug a hole for myself. You know what? I can't come up with it.
You could always sing America, Spread Your Golden Wings.
America, spread your golden wings. All right.
That's
as good as you get.
That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. Okay.
Good.
I think we're warmed up and ready to go to the news. Jess, we got anything on the theme park front for this week?
Yeah, actually, it's a slow week in theme park news, at least statewide. We've got the Enchanted Rose has now opened at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. This is a new lounge that's inspired by the live-action Beauty and the Beast, which came out a few years ago. And so, yeah, it's a Beauty and the Beast themed lounge serving a menu of smaller items like artisanal cheeses, house-made flatbread, short rib sliders, white sturgeon caviar. And they've also got a really extensive wine menu and specialty tableside cocktails, where I'm assuming that means they make the cocktail at your table. So that sounds pretty interesting.
It's like tableside guac, but for cocktails. I like it.
I could see that being really popular.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've had tableside is guacamole. So I don't know. I always feel I always feel weird, like I have to applaud or like, give them some sort of feedback on their performance. But
wasn't there some place in Universal that they do that with like a gin cart and they make gin and tonics at your table?
Ooh.
Oh, that sounds really familiar, and I cannot think of where that is.
It's at one of the Universal.
Huh. I need to go there if we figure out where it is. Alert me immediately.
We'll find it.
No, you won't. At least not anymore. Or maybe it never existed. I'm not entirely certain. I could have sworn that when I was looking at options for dining when I went down to Universal Studios in May that I saw something about this at one of the resorts, but it's not there anymore. The internet can't tell me anything about it, so I'm so sorry to have wasted your time. I'm sure that there's some restaurant somewhere where you can find a similar tableside gin trolley service, but alas, it seems that not at Universal Studios. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
No, I'm really excited for Enchanted Rose. I read a really meh review of it, but I've seen the photos and the menus, and it looks fantastic. I'm excited.
That chandelier is pretty awesome. It looks like they say it's inspired by a dress, but it kind of looks like a rose hanging down there.
Yeah, it does. It's a much bigger space. I did love hanging out at Meisner's, but it was too small. It was always crowded in there, and if you didn't get in there early, there was nowhere to sit. And this took over that whole stuffy menswear shop next door, where you could buy a crappy leather belt for $100. Everybody needs that. But
it's okay.
I'm excited.
You didn't enjoy the Burlington Coat Factory?
No, not at all. I'm going to be checking that out next weekend, I think.
It looks good. You'll have to let us know.
I will report back.
Yeah. I think we've said enough. Well, I don't necessarily want to get into nitpicking about where it is and whether or not it belongs there. I mean,
nitpick away, Dan. What is it?
Okay, well, I mean, the entire internet's already talked about does this,
does it belong at the Grand Floridian?
Right,
Sure.
since the Grand Floridian is Victorian era.
Yeah.
And all, but,
That's fair.
it's okay.
I get that, but I mean, as we've all been basically told over and over again by Disney, IP is going to be inserted in every inch and corner of the resorts. So it may not fit with what we used to think of as how the hotels, themed themselves, but it's going to be the way things are. So all we can do now is hope that it's done well.
Yeah, and I don't think this one is in your face Beauty and the Beast. I mean, it's got the little
so
touches,
either,
but it's not like the Beast is right there greeting you at the door and
He's making your tableside cocktails.
And I think too, you've seen.
That's a good idea.
But
Did that give you an idea, Dan?
yeah. Can they make another? Because they've got that animatronic Lumiere at Enchanted Tales.
Oh, yeah,
Can they get that
that's
guy
true.
there for entertainment while he can be
That's not
making
a bad
comments
idea.
from behind the bar or something? That would be phenomenal.
That would be good.
They have robot bartenders now. They could just combine audio animatronics with robot bartenders, and then he could serve your drink.
If they're going for it, go all in. They can make the animatronics, so let's turn it into a show. I want a pizza time
Sure.
explosion, but or pizza, but, right? You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Heather, save me. You got a news story?
I do. So we talked on an earlier episode about being able to spend a night in the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Well, this is just in time for our listeners to jump on this and maybe have the chance to spend the night in the Goodyear Blimp.
Oh, that would be cool.
Oh.
Yes. So the Goodyear Blimp is transforming into an Airbnb for 3 nights, and reservations will go live on October 15th when this podcast is released. So if you're lucky enough to nab a reservation, you can spend they're doing it in 1 night stays. So you could spend either the night of October 22nd, 23rd, or 24th in the Blimp. And it's going to be stationed at a hangar in Ohio before it takes off to cover the Michigan. Who are they playing that week? Michigan Notre Dame game in Ann Arbor. So after it does its little stint as an Airbnb, it's going to take off and fly over the big house for the Michigan Notre Dame game. Reservations are only going to be $150 a night plus tax. And that fee includes access to the blimp, including the overnight accommodations for 2 people. And then it says room for 4 friends during the day. So where it's going to be stationed is going to be near a lakefront camping spot. So you'll be able to sleep in the blimp, but you'll also have a grill, a fire pit. It says they'll have tailgating essentials like cornhole. And then the people who nab those reservations will also get tickets to the Michigan Notre Dame game that week.
So $150 gets you all of that.
All of that stuff. Yes.
That's
for one
a steal.
night. Right?
It's really exciting. I grew up about 15 minutes from where they dock those blimps and stuff. And we kind of took it for granted. You see it,
in Ohio,
at least once. Yeah, near Akron. And once a week you'd see that thing go over, and then we moved up to Michigan and I realized, you don't see that ever.
It looks really cool. I would love just to get a chance to tour it, much less spend the night in it. So after you hear this podcast, go immediately to Airbnb, and maybe one of our listeners can snag a reservation.
Yeah, may the odds be ever in your favor. That's a really popular thing that they've been doing, it seems, lately, is these weird little specialty pop-up boutique kind of
and it's
opportunities.
So cool.
I actually had to choose between 2 stories for that, and I think I chose the correct one. We'll give honorable mention to one. There's a pop-up Lisa Frank hotel room in California that
I
looks
saw
like
that. Yeah.
It looks like a middle school locker threw up all over the inside
really
of
does.
the.
I was about to say, do you sleep in a trapper keeper?
Yeah.
Practically, yeah. But then this one, and it's actually not through Airbnb, but it's the same kind of limited edition, super cool hotel room. You can spend the night in a real life version of the Addams Family Mansion this Halloween.
Yes, I saw that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, from booking.com. I found this on travelandleisure.com. It says, located in a 19th century townhouse in Brooklyn's historic Cobble Hill neighborhood, this spooky manor will feature plenty of nods to each individual member of the Addams family. Play with weird machines in Pugsley's room. Watch out for Wednesday's beheaded doll in the living room. Be careful watering Morticia's carnivorous plants, or even pull Lurch's famous You-Rang bell to set the mood. And you might even see an appearance from Thing. There's pictures in this article. It looks amazing. Wednesday, it sleeps up to 4 guests with a king-size bed, a queen-size bed, and 1 twin bed. There's a picture of Wednesday's room, and there's a tiny little electric chair with a doll sitting in it, and a Ouija board set out in the middle of the floor for seances. Pugsley's room has a giant metal bomb suspended over the bed. So if you are creepy and kooky and just a little ooky, this would be right up your alley, I think.
It looks
so how
incredible.
long before they open the copycat Munsters one?
Oh, I hope so. I think I would prefer the Munsters house, actually.
Yeah.
Personally.
I would too. Yeah, I'm more of a Munsters guy.
So the mansion will be available to rent for $101.10 per night. It's going to be limited to 4 one-night stays are going to be available October 29th through the 1st. So just in time for Halloween. Bookings for this open up at noon Eastern on the 28th. So again, hop on booking.com then and try to get in there because I want to see pictures.
Absolutely.
That looks cool.
Did they say if the characters are going to be there?
So,
like, if you're going to see, like,
it didn't look like it.
No, it's just really sets the atmosphere. And then they said maybe Thing will be there. But other than that, it specifically says ghosts. This article says ghosts and other creepy creatures are not counted in the stay. There is a polar bear rug and a carnivorous plant on the coffee table, though.
Better than nothing, I guess.
Polar bear rug. Love it.
Yep.
So I have a story that relates to why you should really use a travel advisor. Recently, Alec Baldwin was scammed when he was trying to visit the Statue of Liberty with his family. I came across this article. Did you see this article? I came across it on MSN.com. And he was trying to take his wife and kids on a cruise to pass the Statue of Liberty. And what he purchased were tickets that ended up being just a ferry from New Jersey. So
almost the same thing.
He posted it on Instagram, and his Instagram post says, "So we head to South Ferry, me and Hilaria, two sharp, savvy New Yorkers, kids in tow. We buy the tickets for the boat tour of the Statue of Liberty." And his Instagram post has a picture of the tickets that they bought, and it looks legit. It's got the Statue of Liberty on it. It's from a place called Tours R Us. He says, we buy the tickets for the boat tour of the Statue of Liberty and are immediately escorted to a shuttle bus to New Jersey. I kid you not. We paid, then we read the tickets. No one ever mentioned New effing Jersey. This is a scam. So what they ended up doing is just taking the Staten Island ferry, which is free, and it goes right past the Statue of Liberty. Had he consulted a travel advisor, he may have been able to be advised that there is only one company that is allowed to do cruises past the Statue of Liberty and then actually drop you off there on Liberty Island, and it's a company called Statue Cruises, and the tickets are only $18.50. It looks like he paid like $40 $40 a ticket for this shuttle from New Jersey to nowhere.
Wow.
So tip, you can go to both Liberty Island and Ellis Island via Statue Cruises for only $18.50, and they can be purchased online or at Battery Park or from your friendly neighborhood travel advisor. Definitely have one of us help you out. We'll make sure you won't get scammed.
That way you don't have to go to New effing Jersey.
Yes. No one ever mentioned
really
New
wants to
effing
go
Jersey. Alec didn't say effing either, but this is a family show, so. Sort of.
We don't want that explicit badge.
Yeah.
All right, Jess, anything from the theme parks?
So we've got an opening date for Legoland New York. That's going to be the new Legoland theme park opening up July 4th of 2020. It's going to be a 150-acre theme park with a 250-room on-site hotel in Goshen, New York. I'm probably not pronouncing that correct. So they're building that currently, and the resort's going to come first, and then the accompanying hotel will be open in 2021. And when it opens, it's going to be the biggest Legoland amusement park to date. So that'll be something really good for our upper East Coast guests that are looking for more theme parks closer to them.
Legoland's a great park for younger kids, too.
Yeah, definitely. And they've been expanding with putting in hotels in the past few years that seem to be doing pretty well. They are more on the budget side, so it's better for budget-minded families.
Absolutely.
Does it say if it's seasonal or is it all year?
It did not say in the release that I read.
I was wondering about that. That's kind of interesting to do a theme park in the climate issues.
New York.
Although,
yeah,
by then that might be subtropical climate anyway. So
That's true.
You never know. They're playing the long game. They're just getting ready for upstate New York to be 90 degrees all year.
So I found a new job listing that I think I'm going to go for, and I might share it here with our listeners. According to travelandleisure.com, you can get paid to travel through Greece with your best friend, and all you have to do is Instagram it. Anybody up for this?
How many posts are we talking?
So the company Unforgettable Greece is looking for an IG savvy traveler to spend 9 days in Greece, just taking photos of the trip. One lucky person is going to be chosen for this job to take over the Unforgettable Greece Instagram account for the trip. They'll get paid €550, which is about $600 to do it. But you also will be, the company is going to fund the entire trip. So they'll pay for all of the hotels. They're going to give you a Samsung S10. I have no idea whether that's a good phone. I'm an iPhone girl, but there it is.
It's the newest note, or the newest one.
Ah, got it. Thanks, Dave. But all you have to do to apply for this is upload your best travel photo to Instagram and tag at Unforgettable Greece and use the hashtag Unforgettable Instagrammer in your caption. And they're accepting these applications until November 15th at 11:59 p.m. British summertime. Yeah. And the article notes that it's important to be aware of the time zone. And don't put it on there at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time or you're going to be out.
Oh no.
But this looks amazing. 9-day trip to Greece and some spending money just for taking Instagram photos.
Yeah, I mean, most people would be doing that anyway. So
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this is another one that I've been seeing pop up a lot lately is offerings of these gigs. I know Harley Davidson did one where you spend the summer driving around the United States on a Harley and taking over their Instagram. They would put you up in hotels and stuff. I think Wolf Brand Chili or Kingsford Charcoal or something did one with the NFL where they were going to give you tickets, send you to a different NFL game each week for the whole season and have you do posts about food and tailgate food, stuff like
Tailgating.
that. Yep.
Fun.
Company was doing it with ski resorts recently. They wanted to send you to several ski resorts. And I know there was one in Britain that was specifically for dog hotels. They wanted to find the best Instagram pooch that they could find and have you go around and review dog hotels. So,
okay.
So this is another like trend that's been popping up in the travel area.
That's a great idea. I like it.
Yeah, it seems, like I said, it seems like there's something new every week. So just, keep an eye out for these contests and maybe you can get a cool vacation out of the deal.
Absolutely.
The last news item I've got this week is coming from Beijing. We've got a Universal Studios Beijing opening up in 2021, and they have just announced the lands for the park. So maybe this will give us a little bit of an inclination as to what we can expect from Epic Universe over here. I'll read the list and you guys tell me what you think. So the lands that they've got slated for Universal Studios Beijing are Hollywood Boulevard, which the entrance area, probably a lot like Universal Studios Florida, a Minion Land, Jurassic World Isla Nublar, Transformers Metro Base, Kung Fu Panda Land of Awesomeness,
I hope so.
A Waterworld land, which I had to check the calendar.
What?
So apparently it's going to have the Waterworld show that's still going on out in Universal Studios Hollywood.
Yeah.
But I'm like, is Waterworld huge over there? I don't get it. But
has anyone ever heard of it anymore?
Yeah, I don't know. And then finally, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Hogsmeade.
So they're getting a Hogsmeade. Nice.
Yeah, so I was thinking it might give us an idea of what we're getting, but I don't really see any of those fitting in with like the concept art that was released or any of that.
Not really.
Especially not Waterworld.
Especially not Waterworld. Yeah.
I can see them. I could see them bringing over the Minions.
Or Kung Fu Panda. Land of Awesome. We knew they wouldn't do Nintendo Land in China because the Chinese don't like Japanese things, so that was out.
Yeah,
right. Even the Jurassic. I mean, I know that there was a long time ago rumors and whispers about Jurassic World becoming more of a thing. I believe that somebody at one point dug up patents where they had plans to make those clear spheres that they roll around in.
Wow.
They've been talking about that, like an attraction that uses those.
Cool.
Yeah. So either that's going straight to Beijing, or maybe
try it in China first.
Yeah.
Get all the safety concerns out.
Yeah.
But I think the real story here is that I'm sure Kevin Costner is like super excited.
Right.
You think you'll have him there for the opening?
What in the world?
He probably forgot he made that movie.
Most of us are trying to forget that he made that movie.
It's still not as bad as The Postman.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
We all go through hard times, okay?
Yeah.
Such hard
Should I
times for
give
him.
Costner a break, Dave? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying, he gave us The Bodyguard, okay, and Tin Cup.
And Dave will always love him.
I'm getting ideas for a spin-off podcast show with Dave right
For the
now.
love of the game,
Yeah.
all right? Lay off it, Tim.
Dave talks Costner.
Dave on Costner.
We could talk his good stuff all day. The Unforgettables, all right? Guy makes 2 bad movies. Okay.
But they were both like so long that they equal the rest of his entire film career. Like
That's a fair point.
Yeah, wasn't Waterworld like the most expensive movie
It
ever
was
made
like
at that
19 hours long.
Yeah.
And sold 7 tickets at the theaters.
Apparently, Dave were 3 of them.
I never knew you were a big Costner fan there, Dave. I'm learning so much about you.
so if they put Kevin Costner movies at Epcot, you'd be better.
Oh,
Listen.
there it is.
Maybe a bodyguard attraction. I don't know.
Where you just get carried by an audio animatronic Kevin Costner.
Yes.
I have some concerns about Whitney's role in the movie, but we'll figure that out later.
Step 1 is to figure out which Costner movies were Fox properties, and we can go from there.
Definitely
we are,
not draft day, though. That one was terrible.
Fifth Gate. I'm calling it now.
Costner Gate.
Costner World.
All right, I have 2 related stories about large animals. The first one comes from so the story's on a blog. It's a Southern thing. And this
I
was
love
brought to
that
my
blog.
attention by my Aunt Laura. Shout out Aunt Laura. Thanks for the story. Headline: Great Smoky Mountains officials warn of 700-pound elk charging at cars on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Whoops.
Yeah. So if you're driving along the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina, you might want to watch out for the elk. Apparently, they've been making a big comeback in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and they are very large and very aggressive. They've been known to charge cars.
The elk.
Yeah, and they are big. 700 pounds is a rather large animal. That's kind of their max size, but still, it's mainly just the story is just when you're in those kinds of places, if you're in the Smoky Mountains or at Yellowstone or whatever, don't get out of your car and chase the animals down for a picture. We've got zoom on our cameras, so just zoom in and get it from a safe distance. I remember when I was I think I was 4 years old, and we went on a family vacation to the Great Smoky Mountains, and there was a big lineup of vehicles on the side of the road, and my dad got out to explore, and a whole bunch of guys were chasing down a baby black bear to get pictures.
Oh,
and
that's not
That's
smart.
a bad idea.
no. So
Bad.
That's a real bad idea.
yes, it generally is. So watch out for
Baby
those.
black bears are cute, but their mamas
it's
are
not the baby you got to worry about, right?
Yeah. With all species, pretty much, right? So there's the giant elk in North Carolina, and then we're going to go to Alaska to Katmai National Park. Apparently, every year since 2014, they have a special event that goes on. It's Fat Bear Week.
Yes, Fat Bear Week. I read about this.
And so the bear,
good.
It's like my home.
the bears are putting on their winter weight to get ready for hibernation, and they get huge. And so they set up this like March Madness style bracket where you can vote on. They make the bears go head to head, and you can vote on who you think your favorite fat bear is.
Oh, and they have webcams set up all over the park, right? That they're catching the pictures of these bears.
Yeah. So this year's winner is the story says, meet the most beautiful, most voluptuous bear in Alaska. Her name is Holly, and she is
so funny.
She is a big, voluptuous bear
massive
indeed.
bear.
Oh yeah, that's a big bear.
Yeah, the website shows you, they show you a before and after photos too. They try to catch the bears before they've put on their hibernation weight. And then you have to decide which bear is the fattest. It's so funny.
It's like a reverse before and after for Jenny Craig.
It is.
Apparently, Holly won not just for her size, but also she won Miss Congeniality. Holly has adopted a cub that was abandoned by its mother, which is apparently a rare phenomenon.
Aww.
According to the National Park Service, bears are generally selfish creatures and are not known for displays of altruism, it says in her bio. So if you want to take a peek at the new reigning queen of Katmai National Park, You can
Holly
check
the
out
Fat Bear.
Holly the Fat Bear. We'll put up a link to the live stream so you can see what she's up to before she goes to sleep for the winter.
That's so cool.
Honestly, it just looks like a photo of me getting out of the shower.
Ugh.
You're a lot more hairy than I thought you would be.
Oh, wow.
Whatever.
No, I just like to put on a bearskin rug before I get in there.
It's a little weird, but whatever you go for there, Jess.
Do you guys know I'm a furry?
Oh, okay, well, let's not alienate our furry fan base, guys, okay? They're lovely people with a hobby that we don't understand, but...
It looks like it could be fun, though. I mean...
Yeah, we'll get into that next episode.
Well, maybe we'll be launching a third podcast.
With Dave.
We're starting our own podcast network here.
Dave's Furry Podcast.
Careful, Dave. Careful with that Google hole you're about to go down.
Right back, guys.
Okay, well, with that, Heather, do you have anything else?
I have one last little story, and I've tried this with my own phone, and it doesn't work in my house, and I'm so mad. I don't know if we've talked yet much about Virgin Voyages, which is the new cruise line that Richard Branson is launching, and their first ship is going to be the Scarlet Lady, and they just announced that one feature on this cruise ship is going to be Shake for Champagne. So in the Virgin Voyages app, when you're on the ship, if you feel like some champagne, you just pull out your phone, open up the app, and shake it.
If you're really disappointed right now that I didn't make a joke about Outcast's Hey Ya, just think about how I feel. Take a moment and pretend that I did that right now. Yeah, pretty good. I know. Who doesn't love that song? All right, back to the show.
And when you shake it, it brings up a screen that says save water, drink champagne, push here. And you push the button and a bottle of Moet will appear next to you. I tried this in my living room and it didn't work. I was
Dave
really
didn't bring you any champagne.
No one brought me a bottle of Moet. So sad.
You got to train those boys better.
Yeah, really. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. They keep coming out with little tidbits of what this cruise line is going to be like. And I'm fascinated because Richard Branson is kind of a fascinating, weird guy. And this whole cruise line is dreamed up by, he thought he might like to take a cruise, but he didn't see any of the cruise lines that fit his aesthetic. So he launched his own. So we'll see. Kind of keep an eye on what's going on with that cruise line.
Isn't that the one where isn't it all adults
It's
only?
adults only. Yes. Yep. That was kind of the first thing that they talked about. It was going to be adults only and a little bit more relaxed. They also have their own private island, and it's one that they will stay at all day and all through the night. They end the night on their private island with a big bonfire party. Yeah, some cool stuff coming out about that cruise line.
Yeah, hopefully it's never mind. We won't get into that. We won't get into discussion of what's been going on the airline with their seatback messages.
Oh yeah, I saw that this week.
Problematic.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's problematic. Okay, I don't think we have any more news, do we? Anything else, Jess? That's it for me.
That's it for me.
Heather, did you want to tease your big announcement that's coming at the end of the episode?
I do. Stay tuned. At the end of the episode, we are going to be talking about an exciting sweepstakes that Theme Park Professor is going to be launching. And I'll just give you the name. It's called Disney Do-Over. And stay tuned with us to all the way to the end, and we'll give you the details of what it is and how you can enter.
It's pretty exciting. Stick with us. We're going to hop on over for a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of our favorite extinct attractions from EPCOT that we wish we could see again. When it comes to planning your next adventure, knowledge and preparation are always key. That's why a call to your Key to the World Travel Vacation Planner should always be at the top of your to-do list when you feel the urge to venture forth and explore the world. Key to the World Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner,
specializing in travel to Disney theme parks around the world, as well as Disney Cruise Line, Aulani, and Adventures by Disney. With over 450 travel advisors who share a deep love for Disney destinations, Key to the World Travel has a wealth of knowledge and passion to help you experience all the magic with none of the work. Wherever your wanderlust is driving you, Key to the World Travel is a full-service travel agency with the expertise to get you where you want to go. So whether you're headed to Universal Studios, Hawaii, Europe, or somewhere a little farther off the beaten track, your first step should always be to visit www.keytotheworldtravel.com for a no-obligation quote. Their expert travel planners are standing by to help you with every detail of your perfect vacation. That's www.keytotheworldtravel.com or at Key to the World Travel on Facebook. Key to the World Travel, your key to a magical vacation.
All right. I'm going to set the scene again. We're walking through the World Showcase, and as we approach the blue-roofed pagoda at the front of the Japan Pavilion, a gentle breeze picks up, carrying the scent of cherry blossoms and a soft melody that isn't part of the normal background music of the area. Curious, we pass the koi ponds and head up the hill. As we reach the top, we see a figure in white seated beneath a sakura tree, contemplating the world and writing poetry. On closer inspection, it turns out to be Dave, ready to share his latest composition with us.
Beauty is gone. EPCOT is a dumpster fire. Return to greatness.
Is that a haiku?
Yes.
Oh, that was amazing.
Should we sit back and contemplate that for a minute? What does it mean to you personally?
How many listeners will we lose this week?
At least it was elegant. I mean,
That was well done.
It was very well done. I appreciated it.
I feel wiser for having my life has been enriched.
I wouldn't go that far.
You have no idea how hard it is to write something that's only 7 syllables.
Haiku is an art form.
Yeah, you have to count on 2 hands that way.
It's wait a second.
What are you saying, Dan?
I'm sorry, Zach.
He'll forgive you eventually. Okay, so let's I think we're gonna talk about our favorite missing attractions from. I should say attractions. I chose. Well, maybe did I? Well, attractions. It could be entertainment. Whatever you missed from Epcot. And I guess we'll just go around the circle and talk about what we've got. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Oh, just beat you to it.
Oh, okay.
All right, so
Quick draw McGraw.
this is because like my first choice when I was thinking about extinct Epcot attractions is not. I did not choose this because of its theming, of its level of storytelling, of any like sort of innovative designs. I chose it simply for the WTF factor of the attraction ever existing in the first place, and that would be the making of me.
Oh, yes.
I was just telling my wife about that.
Yeah, so for those that did not get to experience this, it was part of the Wonders of Life Pavilion, which is also long gone. And it was basically just a short movie that was hosted by Martin Short, and he goes back in time and basically walks you through his parents meeting, dating, falling in love, getting married, and conceiving and giving birth to him.
Yep.
And
It was spectacular.
of course, yeah,
It was a frank discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, and Disney, of course, they danced around things well enough and made it as tasteful as they could, but even at my young age, seeing that, I was like, I don't understand why this is here. I don't understand why this is part of Epcot.
What is this doing here? Well, this kind of brings up the whole Wonders of Life Pavilion, which is all extinct. I mean, you can still go in there during some of the festivals. They use it for festival space, and it is trapped in the 80s. They haven't really touched it since they closed everything down, but that was the home of Body Wars and Cranium Command. Anybody miss Cranium Command? Come on.
I do. That one's on my list. It's basically Inside Out.
Yeah. It was.
And hey, justice for Buzzy. Yeah. Justice for Buzzy.
It's a funny show about the human brain. I mean, it was great. I didn't really love Body Wars. It was boring. It was a little boring, a simulator, but for some reason, that one always made me kind of sick to my stomach. I don't know whether it was I don't know what it was about that one. I wasn't a Body Wars fan, but yeah.
Do you get sick on Star Tours too?
No, which is weird.
Because I mean, it's almost exactly the same.
It really
it's just, I think the way that the way the video in there was, it was so confined.
It literally is the same.
Yeah.
machine.
So that one, the theme of that one is you're shrunk down to be injected into the body, and you're on what was it like, to remove a splinter or something? I can't remember exactly. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, there's an infection. Yeah.
But Wonders of Life also had like personal health quizzes, and you could ride a bike simulator, and it was just the whole. Oh yeah. It was kind of back when a lot of Epcot was more about science and learning.
That edutainment thing that they were doing. Yeah.
I remember that one feeling a little bit more like the Seas Pavilion, where the after show area, there was a lot more going on, and it was like kind of a little hands-on science museum kind of place.
Yeah, there were tons of interactive things out there in the outside the attractions.
Yeah,
I feel like that's been lost in a lot of Epcot. That the little games and the interactive things to do.
Yeah, that's a part that I'm very sad to see go, because I feel like it gives kids so much more to do.
There used to be a lot more of that interactive stuff, and now really Spaceship Earth, when you go underneath there, that's really it if you think about it.
Yeah. That's
then
really
half of that stuff's down. Yeah. Half of that stuff doesn't
What's left of ImageWorks.
Yeah. I had completely forgotten about the making of me. Martin Short.
I remember it vividly because I was just old enough to just be really uncomfortable by the whole thing. And like, especially I remember it got to the point where like Martin Short has to explain to you the process, and you're just like, you can see how uncomfortable he is. Yes. You're like, well, it's a paycheck,
Might as well.
After that, he's like, I will only do O Canada. I will not do anything that has to do with the human body.
So one of the things I wanted to bring up actually kind of ties into what we were talking about with the lack of hands-on stuff going on in Epcot these days. And this is actually, it's part of an attraction that somebody I think will probably bring up, which is Journey into Imagination. But I really miss ImageWorks, which was the post-show stuff from Journey into Imagination, and all of the hands-on stuff, and the magic palette, which obviously would have to be updated for today because that technology is not really the latest. I miss the Rainbow Corridor. Is that dumb? I love that.
No, and supposedly there's rumors that they're going to put that into, I think, the Play Pavilion.
Oh, that would be amazing. I mean, I think it's still there. It's still up there.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
That is one of the big things I remember from my first trip, which was when it was in 1982 when Epcot opened. And I remember being underwhelmed by Epcot at first when we were there. And then we went and did Journey into Imagination. And I still remember that the Rainbow Corridor and meeting Figment there. And I miss that a lot.
That's really sad because everything that's in the post show now, just most of it doesn't even work.
Yeah. Some of it is still there, but it doesn't work. It's just
broke. And that's, it's really disappointing. Like you've got, you could take care of this? Because it's not, like you said, it's old tech, so it's stuff that they could fix pretty easy, probably.
Fix or update. I mean, if you're going to have it still there, let's update it. And
it wouldn't be that hard. I mean, there's that one where there's the part where you conduct an orchestra by waving your hands in the air, and I mean, I've played that. I've got that
Bubble
Fantasia
music
game for Xbox that does the exact same thing. It watches you wave your hands with your Kinect and conduct the orchestra. So
there was I think it was called the Light Writer.
Oh yeah,
it was kind of like using lasers to write and draw. I mean, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't even have to be the latest technology. Kids get into stuff like that, even if it's old tech. Right?
My son still loves the ImageWorks area, and it's sad because, I know what it used to be, and then I see how half of the stuff has like a, out of order sign on it. He still loves it because it's an interactive play area. And I mean, as much as I have a very special place in my heart for Figment and the Imagination Pavilion, I don't have a lot of hope for its future after the announcements of the EPCOT overhaul. And how there wasn't really anything said about Imagination, Figment, any of that area. And I have a feeling that we're going to see that phased out. I feel like
I'm sad by that. I think the Imagination Pavilion it fits so well into the overall aesthetic of Walt Disney World as a whole, and especially Epcot. And it's sad to me that we're losing that.
People will lose their mind when Figment is gone.
No,
I mean, that's going to be a Friday at 4:30 thing where they just kind of sneak it out into the weekend.
There won't be an announcement. What I think they're going to do, just sort of as signaled by what they've done in the past few years, is they'll get rid of the ride, but they'll try to appease people by keeping Figment as, the food and wine mascot or whatever, that they throw him in, and they'll continue to have him placed in the park, but I don't think his ride is going to make it.
He is definitely sort of the unofficial mascot of Epcot, and hardcore Walt Disney World fans are very pro Figment, and so I don't think he will go away altogether. But I miss the Dreamfinder too.
I know. I wish he would come back. That would be great.
And, as the losing of Journey into Imagination in its original form and kind of the downward spiral of the Imagination Pavilion, it is kind of ties in really of the loss of Epcot Center, right? It's not, it's not Epcot Center anymore. It's not even all caps anymore. It's just, it's Epcot now. And some of it I can see. I really am excited for a lot of the new things that they're bringing to Epcot. I'm over the moon about Guardians of the Galaxy and Mary Poppins, and I think a lot of that is adding to Epcot in a really great way. But I think a lot of the stuff we've lost could have still been relevant, and the Imagination Pavilion as a whole is one for me that I think could have been updated and still been relevant instead of losing it altogether.
I agree. It was kind of was the concept building that tied all of the other future world ideas together.
Yeah. So I guess that was really a Journey into Imagination in its original form and ImageWorks. And I don't remember much about the original ride. I think I only rode it that one trip, and it's the shortened version of it is what I am more familiar with now. We still go ride it. It still makes me chuckle.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's not about imagination.
It's not.
It's about your five senses.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Except you don't get to go into the taste and touch labs. So it's not even about all of your senses.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
That makes me
really missing parts of it. So I have one, a little bit of a newer loss. Maybe not that new anymore, but Honey, I Shrunk the Audience.
Yes.
Yes. I'm so glad somebody brought that up.
That was one of our first trip back when I was, little. That was something that I do distinctly remember. Whether it was whatever ran under the seats, and it got your legs, mice.
freaked me
Yeah,
out.
me too.
I love that.
He got sprayed in the face with water during that one scene.
Oh yeah,
The floor moved.
Of course,
that giant
snake
snake that
got
tried to
out.
eat you.
And
I didn't love the giant snake, but it was terrifying and fun, right?
And I remember toward the end, the video started to go. The quality was bad. Did anybody else catch that? It was
Yeah.
like even with the glasses on, it was real fuzzy, hard to focus. But it was the spirit of the attraction was still good. So that's something I wish my
It
kids
really was.
could do.
And they still had that at Disneyland Paris for quite a while after it closed in 2010 at EPCOT. And that was kind of fun because they had it it was in French. The main one was in French, but you could get a headset to listen to it in several different languages. It was kind of fun just to listen to it in a different language that you don't
Yeah.
speak.
But I don't even know now that people would even know
entertaining.
what that movie is. I mean, really, it's been what, 25,
Yeah,
30 years
that's-
since the
that
first
is
one
true.
came out. So, I mean, I get
Yeah.
why it had to leave, but it's still sad. Like that one hurts the most for me.
It does. And it also really fit very well in the Imagination Pavilion because it's a great idea of thinking, well, what if you could shrink somebody down? I loved the movie
Yeah,
too.
oh, yeah.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was a great movie.
Yeah,
so-
that was a standard in our house.
Let's forget the second one.
Yeah.
No,
Forget
even the second one's
but
fine.
let's
It's
stick with
once
the
they got
first
into
one.
the Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves that we got a little.
Honey, I Blew Up the Baby.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, but then you got to rampage
Yeah.
through Las Vegas and play the
that's
guitar
true.
on the hard
and
rock.
who doesn't want to
So-
just not
Okay. That is a fair point. I will give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they took out Honey, I Shrunk the Audience and put Captain EO back, boo, thumbs down.
Well, they didn't even bring back all the
I mean,
effects from EO, did they? They left
no.
out a whole bunch of
Oh
the cool
yeah,
stuff.
all the good stuff.
And
yeah.
I guess, it was a great throwback. It was fun. And I was kind of hoping it would be a temporary throwback. And then that Honey, I Shrunk the Audience would be back, but no.
Well, now it's a Pixar
It
short
was
film
sad.
festival. So, are you happy?
Mhm. No, I mean,
Yeah,
I love the Pixar shorts.
I do too.
We're big fans of them, but I don't think they need their whole
a whole
building.
building.
You can watch, you can sit at home and watch them on Netflix. So why?
Yes.
do you
And
need
soon to be Disney Plus. Yeah.
And pretty soon, Disney
soon,
Plus.
Yes, Disney Plus coming soon, November 12th,
There's
ladies
free-
and gentlemen.
Free 3 plugs. Free 3.
If we
free
say
plugs.
it
There
four
we go.
times,
Spit
we
it
all
out.
get a free membership. So that's what we're shooting for.
Well, let's
Don't
hear
toy with
yours,
my
Dan. We
emotions.
haven't heard one from you yet, Dan.
Man, I got some. Okay, let's talk about Communicore. And this is actually one that I
Okay.
wish that I had got to see because my first trip was in the fall of 1994. So I got there kind of right when it changed into Innoventions. And I remember that it mostly felt like a giant Sega commercial. It
Yeah.
seemed like it was mostly just kind of like the newest, fanciest video games. And there was some interesting stuff, but when you go and you look at what they had in Communicore, it kind of it's more like that science museum, hands-on stuff. You had
Yeah,
the one
that's
side,
again more of that hands-on stuff that we've lost.
yeah. So you had in East, you had all of the Computer Central where they said, okay, we're going to show you how we actually run the park with these computer systems, and they had
Yes.
there are robots all over the place doing things. There's like a robot show where they didn't they like slice an egg in half with a samurai? There was a
Yes.
robot arm with a samurai sword. I know
Yes.
that. Yeah.
And that is a great tragedy that is gone because, I mean, come on.
Yeah. And so it really harnessed kind of, because the home computer at the time was really, really brand new and exciting. And I really wish that I had gotten to see that iteration of those buildings because I was honestly let down. I remember being let down as a kid by Innoventions because there's just long lines to play video games. It felt like to me.
Yeah.
Well, early Innoventions
That's true.
wasn't. I mean, early Innoventions was weird. It had a lot of really fun stuff, but everything was still sponsored by a company, and so it was. I mean, I remember they had like a giant cell phone back in this was like early 90s, and everything was
Yeah.
cool, but everything had to fit in with whatever corporate sponsor they had gotten to fill that space. So it would, I'm sure now if, we went back in time and actually visited, it would seem a lot cheesier than it did back then.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And it always gets me when people complain about like the corporate sponsorships. So
I think the cheesiness goes away.
yeah.
Over time, the cheesiness fades away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I don't remember a lot from Communicore, but I remember that there was a robot that you could talk to, and it was kind of the first iterations of the of voice recognition.
That would be Smart One, SMRT
Smart
One.
Yes,
Forgot about that.
and they moved him. They moved him. He was on display in at the Contemporary for a long time in the steakhouse, and then when it was the Concourse Steakhouse, and then somebody knocked him over and he broke.
Oh
and
no!
he's
Just like
gone
that.
now. Yeah, but I remember that as a kid, thinking, I'm talking to a robot. This is so cool. But I don't really remember a lot of the rest of Communicore. That was the one thing that sticks in my mind. Obviously, it made a big impression on me. Talking to a robot.
They had a bunch of robots.
I don't remember the robot arm with a samurai sword, man.
Yeah, it's called Expo Robotics. Was a show featuring robot arms performing stunts, including
fun.
they would precision top spinning on the edge of a sword and along strands of wire, and it was like a circus act done by robot arms. So.
The samurai.
was like, I see that.
Yeah. Now, what can we see a robot arm do these days?
Make you drinks.
Make alcohol. Make you drinks on a cruise ship. Yes. That brings up I kind of miss, and this was when it was in Innoventions, was the Sum of All Thrills.
Yes.
Did you guys ever ride
the Kukla
that?
arm ride thing.
No,
yeah.
I never got to.
It's Kuka's Robo Coaster concept. And you basically got to design your own roller coaster, and then it programs it into it's basically, it was just like a seat on a robot arm. And it was a lot of fun. And I still can't figure out why they took it out when they did, because Innoventions has been slowly sort of petering off for a while, and that was a great attraction.
That was really like right when it started, really kind of. We're ramping down.
It was one of the last sponsorships they had actually signed for that area. And they basically, at that point, they were letting all the sponsorships in their contracts to save money. So they were just sort of letting it die a slow death at that point.
Yeah, it's sad. I'm not sure when exactly did they take it out. I know my two boys rode it several years ago.
It was shortly after we went with you guys in 2013.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then it wasn't long after that. And then they brought it back briefly to absorb crowds from something else being shut down. Yeah. And then so around probably 2014-ish, I'm going to guess. And I regret not going on it during that trip, because I would.
It was fun. I mean, it's a weird little experience, and you can go upside down, and it's like being shaken up by a robot arm. It's cool.
Yeah.
They had something sort of similar. It wasn't a robot arm, but they were the little design your own roller coaster, Hyperspace Mountain. What was it called? It wasn't Hyperspace
the one at Disney
Mountain.
Quest?
Or maybe it was at Disney Quest.
I rode that one, and
what was that
can't
called?
remember the name of it. But it was the first time I ever got like sick in a ride.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Oh yeah, it was called Hyperspace Mountain. Yeah. Yep.
So to kind of transition a little bit, so this not necessarily an attraction that was lost, but a piece of it that has changed. Jeremy Irons as the voice of Spaceship Earth for me. That was something I think he was probably the best one.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, I do love Judi Dench, but I agree. I miss Jeremy Irons.
There's a lot to miss from Spaceship Earth. That whole, basically when you get to space at the top on down, there's so many changes to it that are kind of
just totally different.
Yeah.
And also the guide on Living with the Land. Remember when they had that, where they actually had someone in the boat with you doing the commentary versus, So it just feels like that ride has lost a lot since going to the audio.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that with this really long refurb that they're going to be doing on it, that we get back some excitement with that attraction. Let's not lose the Rome burning room. How
Right.
many of us have bought candles with that scent?
I don't know, guys, with the IP that they're
Or the Phoenicians. Don't touch the Phoenicians.
Right.
Yeah, but maybe turn down the volume on the newsboys screaming, extra, extra.
Yeah,
I swear,
okay.
if they
Fair.
if they
Yes.
touch the really funky 70s computer lady with the afro, I'm going to be real upset. Because one of these days
She's great.
one of these days she's going to talk to me finally. I swear, that's going to happen.
It's the yellow tights. That's what's
But
working for
with
you.
all this IP coming in, you guys know that we're going to see the majesty, the grand miraculous voices of like Judi Dench and folks like that be replaced with a character. I guarantee it. It's going to be a character.
Yeah,
It's
you're
gonna be
probably
goofy,
right
like,
about
oh,
that.
grand miraculous.
That was the last thing we did at Epcot was Spaceship Earth, just because I wanted to see it one more time. You know, the Phoenicians and Rome is burning, the monks, like just in case, because you don't know what's going to be there after they refurb it. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
enjoy it
Yeah.
that one last time.
Yeah. I also miss Epcot's parade.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bonus points. What was Epcot's parade called?
Something of Nations or
The
something?
Tapestry of Nations.
Tapestry of Nations.
Yes. The Tapestry of Nations. It's the only regular parade they've ever held in Epcot. And it had all of those big, huge, like marionette style
Yeah.
puppets. It was a very cool parade.
Those freaked me out when I was a kid. Yeah. They really did.
Yeah, it ran all the way through the World Showcase Lagoon every day. And they don't really do anything like that in Epcot. And I don't know whether it's because it's becoming too crowded and they feel like there's not room for a
Well,
parade.
you can't fit a parade down with all the
Well,
festival
if you
booths.
have-
There's
Right, exactly. Where
Yeah.
are the spectators going to go if the
That
booth's
is,
there?
yeah, that is true.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. We've lost some of that kind of live entertainment, like the World Showcase players.
yeah, they've
Did you guys ever see that?
Were they the ones that were in England and
Mhm.
did
Yep.
didn't they do like Christmas Carol at Christmas time and stuff?
Yes. That one is the one that I remember the most. Is the Christmas Carol during the holidays.
I've never actually seen them, but
Lights of Winter.
Lights of
the
Winter.
old Christmas celebration.
The Christmas
wasn't
lights
that,
all over the place.
yeah. The,
Mhm. Yeah.
you know, like arches that you walk
I think it
under
was
and stuff.
pre-Osborne family lights.
Yeah.
The other thing you can't do in the World Showcase anymore because of all the booths, and I don't remember how long they did this, but do you recall when the double-decker buses ran around the World Showcase Lagoon?
I don't remember,
I've
but I was
seen
just
I have
reading
a
about
photo
those.
of me in one of those.
Yeah. And it's the same. Yeah. Gosh, Jess.
I think now they just trot them out. They have the characters in them every
I
once
haven't
in a
seen that in
while.
a long time though.
Yes, and you can stay every now and then they have the live entertainment acts up and down Main Street in them sometimes. I haven't been able to find a definitive date on when they stopped using them. They were there when Epcot Center opened in 82, and they would go all the way around the 1.2 miles of the World Showcase Lagoon, and you could
I
hop
remember
on
that
and-
back in like 2007,
Go from-
Animal Kingdom had an opening show where they would bring out double-decker buses like that, and I swear that they were the same ones.
Those are probably the ones. Yeah. Yeah. Cause when you see, they just said World Showcase Transportation on them. I don't think that's what it says on it anymore when you once in a while see them in the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, but that you definitely lose like that kind of kinetic
Yeah.
energy of
Yeah.
the place.
But that's kind of what I miss about the World Showcase players too. Cause I do still love just wandering through the World Showcase with no real agenda. And you still sometimes will come upon some musical acts in the United Kingdom, or, you can stop and watch the drummers in Japan. But, I miss that sort of, what do they call it out at Disneyland?
Yeah.
Streetmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss
Yeah,
that.
if it can't be that hard to get, people from these countries to come out and just.
Oh, sure. I mean, you could find local actors in and around Orlando. Like,
I think that's a big part of the problem, though, is they're actors, and then they have to pay them more.
It's a different
that's
pay
probably
setup
true.
that they have to do. They call them equity players. For them, it's a lot more prohibitive, and it's why you've seen them cut back severely, because it's one of the easiest things for them to cut to save money. And basically their contracts that are not too favorable for Disney usually. So.
Yeah, the other one I liked that they did in the UK was that they did a little Arthur and the Quest for the Holy Grail, and it was kind of funny.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. That and the Christmas Carol. I think they had some other little shows they did, but those are the two that I remember that I miss.
It's funny. There's not a lot that has been lost from World Showcase other than entertainment cuts. It's all
entertainment stuff like that. The what was her name in Japan? The candy.
Oh, the candy lady. Yeah.
Can't remember what her name was, but if after a really long time she sort of fizzled out because she stopped being allowed to give away her little sculpture at the end of it.
Oh, the candy lady.
I think it was some kind of new food safety rules or something.
Probably.
And then, then not long after that, then she just disappeared. That was really fascinating to watch. So I love Miyuki. I found it.
Yes, Miyuki.
Miyuki, Epcot's candy lady.
She's still around?
Yeah.
No, I mean like around as in alive.
No.
Way to go, Dark Just.
Sorry.
Oh, probably.
Well, it's been a while.
Dark.
I'll send her a message. See what she's up to.
Her last performance in Epcot was at the very end of 2013. Her Wikipedia page does not say what she's got going on these days.
But she's enjoying a life of fun. That's exactly what she's doing.
I'm certain that she is. And she's making...
Probably with Puppies and Sunshine.
Yes. And candy sculptures shaped like little animals. What about Millennium Village?
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys remember Millennium Village?
I have no
I've seen lots of pictures, but I was never there to experience it.
So
I visited in 94 and 2013, so that's kind of...
Gotcha. So it was back, and they use this space now they use it during... I think they use it during Food and Wine. It's called the Showplace Theater. The entrance is back in between the UK and Canada, and you miss it when it's not open, when they're not using it. You will walk right by it. And it was they used it as kind of an international food court type of thing during the Millennium celebrations. And they had, it's kind of, I hesitate to say that it was kind of another food festival. We've had some members of this cast express dislike of all of the festivals. But it was basically a big food court, and they had artisans in there as part of the Millennium celebrations. And so it was all sorts of countries that are not represented in the World Showcase. Brazil and Scotland and Sweden, Saudi Arabia even. It was kind of neat. It was another use for that big show space that they have that they really only use for special events these days.
Yeah, and they just took those people out and just gave them booths out in the walkways instead.
Yeah, basically, kind of morphed into one of the other.
I feel like they're just stringing Brazil along at this point. Like they've been having them right. We'll let you have a booth and we'll let you have a table. And that's so sad.
Just give them a pavilion already.
Yeah, as long as I can keep getting my crispy pork belly, I'm happy. And the cheese
sure.
bread.
Yum.
Okay.
You're making me
Something
hungry.
that I've noticed in our discussion so far that I think is a little bit interesting is nobody's mentioned World of Motion
I was going to that one is on my list. Yep.
And nobody's brought up the big one. Why are we all just waiting to see who wants to talk about Horizons, or does nobody like Horizons?
Never liked it.
Because that's what all the real Epcot fans are waiting to hear about.
I feel like I guess I put that one sort of low on my list because I felt like it was a little obvious. But
yeah,
yes, yeah.
I was more concerned about Gary Sinise being replaced by Gina Torres. That's really.
Gina Torres has a better fake hairline, at least. So.
No, it's fun.
Let's talk about let's go right into Horizons. Who's a Horizons fanboy?
I've never been on it. I've seen videos. It looks awesome. I get how, as the spiritual successor to Carousel of Progress,
yeah.
It kind of was the magnum opus, I guess, of all the ideas here. But I never got to ride it.
Jess,
I only rode it as a kid, and I only rode it as a kid, and I was not impressed as a kid. It felt like Carousel of Progress, which at that age I absolutely did not want to spend time in. So I was like, okay, well, things look,
but it's like twice as long.
Yeah, it was twice as long. Yeah,
things are a little bit more revamped, and ooh, look, that robot has a bow tie on. Wow, that's awesome.
I remember riding it as a kid and loving it, and then the last time I rode it was probably in college. And yeah, by then I was sort of feeling a little like Jess, like, all right. But I don't know. I remember really loving it as a kid. And yeah, they took it out for Mission Space, which is a little bit more thrilling, I guess.
I guess.
I rode that once, and then that was it. I'm never riding Mission Space again. It's just... I can get a headache. I can get a headache in so many other ways that I don't need to stand in line for. I just don't. I will say I wanted an honorable mention for Ellen's Energy Adventure, because it was one of the best one of the best air conditioned naps that you could take in Epcot. Because that ride was like 45 minutes long. It was one of the longest things I've ever.
The only thing I remember from that ride when we went in '94 was the dinosaurs. I have no recollection of anything else. The dinosaurs were phenomenal. And have you heard about what they did on closing day for that attraction? The last ride, very last ride, they pulled an E-stop.
Wow.
On purpose. And they let everybody just walk through the dinosaur room. Yeah. How incredible would that be? Yeah.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Insane.
It was the very last ride.
I don't really remember it from before Ellen's Energy Adventure, when it was just the universe of energy. I know that I wrote it, and it still had that huge, giant theater cars moving through I think it was basically the same as Ellen's Energy Adventure, just without her spin on it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else have any other honorable mentions that they want to bring up real quick? I know Dave has to go. So,
is anybody going to mention Illuminations? I feel like our good friend Zach would.
It hurts too much.
It's too soon.
Yeah.
No, too soon.
All healing right now.
Nope, don't talk about it.
How do you think he felt when he saw that picture of the Earth ball being destroyed backstage?
Oh,
have you seen that one?
I think he probably cried. Our good friend Zach would be upset with us, though, if we did not bring up Illuminations. You got to give it to that attraction. That show had a really good run. Yeah. 1999 to 2019.
That's impressive. Not much lasts that long.
What I will say about it is that it really, it was Epcot to me, right? We didn't watch it every single time, but and maybe the technology on the giant ball was a little outdated, but it still really said Epcot to me. And I am a little bit sad that it's gone. I'm really excited for the things that they could do with that huge space for a spectacular nighttime show. And I'm hoping that they take advantage of all of it and wow us. Epcot Forever was not really something I would say that wowed me yet. I know it's just a
Wait till you see it in
placeholder. I
person.
know, and I am going to go see it in person, but.
All right, you need something that's not so
Yeah.
good to compare the next one to, so that the next one looks really great.
Yeah, because I mean, when Wishes went away, we were all sad about Wishes, and I loved that show. And at first, we were all outraged that Wishes was going away. Happily Ever After blows that out of the water.
Yeah,
And so
for sure.
I can look back fondly at Wishes and look forward to seeing Happily Ever After because it's so great. So I kind of hope that they really do take the opportunity to use that whole space, use all of the World Showcase Lagoon and just blow us away. Make it World of Color just on steroids.
Yeah,
Come on, guys.
we know they can do it, so they just got to produce.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Just invest the money. Let's go.
That is right.
You got the
Well, I
money.
hope that made Zach happy. Dave, you need to say goodbye before we wrap up here? Or are you good?
And I'm good. It was a good time. Thank you for.
Do you have any digs you want to get in on Epcot before you leave? Or?
Nope, I'm good. Nope, I'm all done.
Yay.
We'll leave it with that
All done.
haiku and
Nope.
close out the trilogy like that.
Absolutely.
It's out of my system for the week.
Perfect. Well, we'll see you again soon, and
See you real soon, Dave.
Thanks, everybody. It was always a blast. Thank you.
all right. So I think that wraps up our discussion of everything that we missed from days gone by in Epcot. Heather, you have a really exciting announcement for us. So why don't you tell us all about the Disney Do-Over contest we've got going?
Yes. Starting today, look for a full article and details on themeparkprofessor.com. But we are going to be giving one family a chance to do over a Disney vacation. And here's the deal. What we would like to showcase is that planning a trip to Walt Disney World is a lot of work. It's complicated. There's a lot that goes into it. And we really strongly feel that using a travel advisor who really knows Disney is the way to go. So what we are looking for with the Disney Do-Over is we want you to share your stories with us of a Disney vacation that you planned for yourself without the help of a travel advisor that did not go well. So what we're going to be asking for is for people to submit their stories of their disastrous Disney vacation. And the team at Theme Park Professor is going to go through all the stories, and we're going to narrow it down to 3. And then we are going to put those 3 stories up on our social media for a vote. And we're going to ask all of our followers to pick a winning family who are going to win a 3-night, 4-day stay at a deluxe resort at Walt Disney World with deluxe dining. And it's going to be planned by a Key to the World travel advisor to make sure that every moment of the magic is what you were hoping for with your first vacation that did not go so well. So you can check us out on Instagram or Facebook, or visit us at www.themeparkprofessor.com. As of today, we're opening up the contest and start sending us those submissions. And we can't wait to hear it. I think we're going to maybe do a little episode of the podcast where we read some of the submissions, maybe let people have a listen to things that went wrong, and how you can have a Disney do-over.
Absolutely. That is incredibly exciting. I'm trying to figure out if I've got any trips that qualify in my past. I don't think so.
I think you might not be
And
eligible.
Dave is not eligible
Yeah,
with his
exactly.
stories of how much
We're
he
gonna
hates
have to
Epcot.
tell him that.
Yeah. Awesome. Make sure.
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, make sure you head over to themeparkprofessor.com to get all the details for how to enter. And we'll be reminding you regularly about that here also, and come back to hear about those stories later on. Thank you to everybody who joined us again this week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss us. And tell a friend or two who you think might enjoy our show to come along and check us out. Is there anything else you guys want to plug, announce, talk about before we go?
Nope. See you on the next adventure.
All right. Sounds good. In that case, we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next week. Yes.
Have a good week.
It's time to close this week's gathering of the Gold Key Adventurers Society. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for tuning in. If you want to become a member of our band of explorers, all you have to do is subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. And while you're there, go ahead and give us a rating and review, won't you? We'll be eternally grateful. It helps other adventurers find us and helps us grow our show. To ask a question or share your travel story, you can reach us by smoke signal, carrier pigeon, or send an email to goldkeyadventurers@gmail.com. And make sure you follow the Gold Key Adventure Society on Facebook and Instagram. A huge thanks to our sponsor, Key to the World Travel. For all your travel planning needs, visit www.keytotheworldtravel.com for a free quote and help planning the trip of a lifetime. Tell them the Gold Key Adventurers sent you. That's www.keytotheworldtravel.com. Key to the World Travel, your key to a magical vacation. Thanks to Outer Vibe for the use of their song Hoka Hey for the intro and outro of our show. Find them on Facebook at The Outer Vibe or check out www.outervibe.com for tour dates, music, merch, and more. We'll see you next week for another meeting of the Gold Key Adventure Society. And until then, remember, life is short and the world is wide. So go have an adventure.